All right, let's go to some RFL follow-ups and a bombshell report that, if true, and again, at this point, this is just being reported here, but from some pretty credible sources, this could be to huge trouble for Governor Christie. And Andrew, let's come in for more. And I got to tell you, Andrew, I was in Trenton earlier this week. I spoke to a lot of the elected officials over there as the run-up to state budget. I was getting from Democrats the vibe that, A, maybe some folks in his administration, but we don't think it goes to the governor. This report, at least allegedly from the feds, paints a different picture.
This thing has always been in two different branches. One, the legislative investigation that you've been talking to people in Trenton about. This one is focused more on the U.S. attorney in the case, and this is coming from an exclusive report in Esquire magazine, sourced to their links close to the U.S. attorney for New Jersey, Paul Fishman. They say Fishman is closing in on the governor and doing so big time, and Bridgegate is only one of the angles that Fishman is looking into. The real meat may be on the diversion of Port Authority money for New Jersey road and bridge projects and the Port Authority real estate deals organized by former Port Authority Chairman David Sampson, all of which are on the table right now. Esquire reporting that Sampson and two other former Port Authority officials, Bill Baroni and David Wildstein, as well as former Christie Chief Counsel Charlie McKenna, quote, all face near certain indictment and are being pressed to hand up Christie. As for Sampson's fate and the press on him to turn on the governor, Esquire quotes a source close to the investigation, quote, they've got him cold, says the source. He, Sampson, got sloppy, arrogant, and greedy. Sampson will want a deal. This way he'd get 1 or 2 years. He'd have a future on the other side. He won't want to be in jail, and he won't want to die in jail. Rich? And
the significance of that is because he's right now sick, right?
Yeah. I think he's got Parkinson's. But he certainly got an ailment, and they're talking about, a lengthy prison sentence for him, at least if this report flushes out and he's convicted on all of the counts. Mostly linked to his real estate dealings and some of the no-contract bids that he gave out as chairman of the Port Authority.
And to be fair, Don, you said don't care what they do at the state level in terms of the legislative hearings. Watch what the feds do.
I don't mean this in an offensive way. The investigation that they're doing in the legislature, that's a joke, and it's a partisan joke. If you're up against an investigation, the one you better worry about is the criminal investigation. And Christie's big problem is his bravado. He comes out and knocks down all of his top aides, and then they have an axe to grind. And if you're Sampson, you've got no wiggle room here. Either you give up the governor or you're going to jail. And they've got, as the report, and it doesn't, a first-year journalism student can figure this out. Sampson, they got him cold. Your boy's with the governor. We want to know what you know and when you know it, and you better sign it, and you're still going to jail. But Christie, that's why all of this talk, Richard, about running for president, he's got criminal problems.
Richard, you've, from your time in Albany, were involved in several investigations. Explain the power that a federal prosecutor or investigator has at his disposal, because they don't have to limit it to strictly just Bridgegate. The scope can be wider, right?
Unfortunately, Dominic was right. He sounds like he likes a system in which people can be squeezed to produce somebody else as a victim, with or without evidence. Everybody take, again, my favorite phrase, take a deep breath. If Christie did something wrong, he ought to go down for it. But the fact that they can squeeze,
but they can't.
Underling,
whether it's right or wrong. But my point is, right now we're getting. Is this the way it works? If you had to guess,
yes.
That right now somebody's being first one to take the deal. First one to flip gets the best deal.
Yes, that's the way it's going down. I'm not so sure this is the way we want the criminal justice system to work, but I think Dominic was right again. Christie makes it's the end of the 6-month period. The Christie's bravado or arrogance makes you say, "Oh yeah, I'll show you." When this just never. I still don't know what the crime is that Christie committed. I don't know what they're squeezing him. What he did what? Well, what does I want to know? He was an arrogant, nasty, personal, no-goodnik who squeezed people for political reasons.
I know
you don't go to jail for that.
2 quick points. One, the diversion of the Port Authority money for use for New Jersey,
and
two. Well, but that's been a fairly broad accusation for a little bit now since the bridge scandal first broke. And also, one of the Sampson real estate investments that's still under question here is the one in Hoboken. The one that Dawn Zimmer, the mayor, was saying that she was being pressured by the lieutenant governor to
Guardano,
to approve. So those speak not only to abuse of power and misuse of funds, but could really be potentially.
Can I just say,
sticky.
though, the only thing that doesn't ring true about this is that the U.S. Attorney has been so tight-lipped on this. Why Esquire and why now? That, to me, is a big question because they have been very careful. I mean, you're absolutely right. The legislature has been leaking like a sieve, and the U.S. Attorney has been very careful. So I'm curious as to why this leak to Esquire and why now.
I guess as this helps turn up the heat on Sampson, Wildstein.
Through
Maloney, et
Esquire?
cetera.
And traditionally,
It's
U.S.
curious.
attorneys
They
across
don't
the
say a
country,
word.
they don't say a word.
And that, to me, is...
Until they make the phone call saying we're walking the governor
They
at 5
leak
o'clock.
all the time.
The
They
U.S.
do leak.
Attorney...
They do
I
leak.
want to
They
get
do
to,
leak.
if Christie was a rising star, I may be, who knows what his national future may be, Dominic, don't laugh, but my point is, another one was Scott Walker, or maybe is Scott Walker, the Wisconsin governor. Many remember him as the guy who had the knockout, drag-out brawl with the unions in Wisconsin, recall, survived, and he came out on the other side of this. Well, prosecutors say that the Wisconsin governor was at the center of a nationwide quote-unquote criminal scheme. They say Walker helped illegally coordinate fundraising with outside conservative groups and prominent political figures like Karl Rove. This thing, he sounds like he's in a lot of trouble here on this.
He could potentially be. I mean, we don't have enough information still to know what Scott Walker is being accused of doing. But, you know, if he is, he's certainly in a huge amount of trouble. And the interesting thing is this is somebody who's been talked an awful lot about as a potential Republican nominee for 2016 and somebody who has a bright future. You know, certainly people on the left are not fans of him, but people on the right have been very enamored by somebody like Scott Walker. So the idea that he's under investigation and, you know, what the facts of that investigation are is curious, and the tie into Karl Rove.
You know, correct me if I'm wrong, we've always had throughout history, you know, obviously questions about misappropriating funds or campaign finance has gone wrong. But it really seems in Citizens United that some people, and this is premature in this case, so I won't even talk about Walker, but it does seem, tell me if you disagree, that some people believe that what rules that were on the books have gone out the window with it, when in fact there still are laws, you know? And again, we'll see how this plays out, but I will tell you, the more you read about the story, the more the people involved, they're talking about criminally pervasive stuff here. They believe they've got this thing dead to rights.
With emails.
Yes.
That's the key point.
And there's a threat on this,
your
exactly.
assessment, Richard, is correct. With Citizens United, it seems like all the rules changed. And I don't know if it was a wink-wink to elected officials, but some feel they could almost do anything. I mean, what governor in their right mind is going to put something in writing as it relates to that, to Karl Rove of all people?
And do you believe we're going to see more of this, not less?
When you have more money around, you can have more people trying to get their hands on it. It is not just the pathways that Citizens United legalized, it's the scope of the giving.
Yep.
And there's a lot at stake here. The nation has become a nation run by its wealthy.
And the implicit,
that can't go on
and the
with that.
implicit or tacit favors that have to come attached when somebody basically is your patron. They're giving you an unlimited blank check. Who thinks it doesn't come with conditions, whether it be for legislative things or maybe other? And I think the whole thing was a mess, and I think we're starting to see what we're reaping as a
Insurgent
consequence
candidates who make that point credibly, be it Bratt
Yep.
or Zephyr Teachout, are going to get an audience. Now, that doesn't mean that they're going to necessarily win, but people are going to listen about this now in ways they never listened before.
When we come back, House Republicans, they made a choice today, and they have a new majority leader. Congressman Kevin McCarthy got a boost. The question is, what does this mean for the grand old party? We'll be right back.